All right, let's see if I can actually get this to freaking work now. Sorry about that, but I guess it wouldn't allow me to do anything unless I connected to a third-party software. So, yeah, that was a little weird. Um, so give me a thumbs up if you can hear me and everything can be seen fine. What's up, foul mouth veteran? Sorry again for the confusion. I am not the most technical person in the world. I can fix anything with parts. I can disassemble any vehicle, take it apart, put it back together, zero issue. But technology, I suck at. Appreciate it. Sorry about that. Now, trigger warning in advance for all you people who are anti-smoking, anti-vape. I vape, and I'm going to be vaping during this. So, yeah, sorry in advance, because screw you, whatever. So, anyways, everyone knows that there was 3 big bills passed here in Texas this legislative session, 87 legislative session, and we all know those 3. That's the constitutional carry. We have the Texas Suppressor Freedom Bill, and then we have the basically freedom bill from the federal government. That one's kind of an iffy one because all that really does is tell local law enforcement that they can't assist federal law enforcement officers or report to federal law enforcement officers any crime that has to do with firearms that's greater than that of a state crime. Now, everyone knows about that 3 because, well, you know, those are the popular ones. But people don't realize that there's actually a whole bunch of pro-gun bills that got passed and went into law on the 3rd. So this is one that my buddy of mine, Brent, one of those, actually got me with. Now, it's not an individual bill, but it was something that was brought in with HB 1927. That's the constitutional carry bill. And with the amendments through 1927, through both 4603 and the Section 551, which is the Open Meetings Act, it actually makes changes to it. Now, that anytime there is an open meetings, like a city council meeting, a school board meeting, or anything of that nature that isn't on, like, you know, obviously if they're having a school meeting and it's at a public school, you can't carry there. But up until September 1st, any of those meetings had the ability to choose whether or not they wanted to restrict carry, either concealed carry, open carry, or both types of carry. Now, due to the new change in verbiage they put in with 1927, they no longer have the privilege of doing that. So that means any person with a license to carry, now you don't have to worry about going to a city council meeting and worry about do they have signs up or anything of that nature, because they no longer have the legal ability to restrict us from carrying. Now, unfortunately, they did not make any revisions for people without a license to carry. So it is still a third degree felony for carrying in a governmental meeting without a permit. So I have a feeling that's going to be one of those things that they're going to change down the road, maybe next session. But for now, at least we don't have to worry about all these small city councils, like B, Texas, and little places like that where we don't want guns. Well, guess what? Go screw yourself. We do what the hell we want to now. So that's one of the first ones. I did that first because that's one, it's not an individual bill by itself. So just kind of had the things. I want to say about damn time Texas governor wheelchair has against constitutional carry. You know what? Abbott acts like he's pro-gun. Abbott, he basically realizes that he's going to get termed. So he's just trying to let stuff go by. He had really nothing to do with any of these other than just pretending to be pro-gun. Abbott can wheel himself down a steep hill for all I care. I really don't care. All right, so the next one, I'm just kind of going through bills here, is HB 1500, okay? Now I'm going to be reading because I got like 4 pages of these, so don't mind if I look down. Prevents government entities from banning the sales and transportation of firearms and ammunition during a declared disaster and emergency. So let's say there is a hurricane or another COOF outbreak or something of that nature, and people in, let's say, Baxter County or Dallas County or Travis County goes, oh my God, it's like an emergency. What about the children? We better not allow people to buy guns because, guns are a pandemic in themselves and all that usual crap they make up. And they try to use that as an excuse to ban the sales and transportation of firearms. Well, they tried doing that before last year and times before with different hurricanes, tropical storms. So we added to the law that no, you can't do that. Sit down, shut up, go away. Now, it's even further that where firearm stores are now actually considered to be an essential business. So if they ever try doing like, oh, well, we're having problems here or there or whatever, a firearm store isn't an essential business. Well, yeah, now it is. So now, yeah, you got your Walmarts, you got your HEBs, you got your gun stores. So here in Texas, guns are essential. Once again, sit down, shut up. All right, next one we have is House Bill 1407. Allows license holders to carry openly in a holster anywhere in their vehicle. So before, the law was you have to keep it in a belt or shoulder holster somewhere about your body. So if you're carrying in your vehicle, and I'm kind of a fat guy myself, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. So if I wanted to put it in like one of those little nifty holsters that fits into your cup holder, it's actually a holster, or like underneath the dash or something of that nature, as long as in some type of holster, because there's no actual definition in state law of what a holster is. So as long as it's some type of retention device that kind of goes around the pistol and you classify that as a holster, I'd call it a holster. I mean, it could even be like the little one that goes around the trigger guard on a Glocks. Technically, that's a holster. Not a very good one, but it's a holster. So as long as it's holstered and somewhere in your vehicle, you can legally have it without having it being right on your body or somewhere about your body. So that's a good one. Makes it a little bit easier to carry inside your car. But once again, that's for people who have a license to carry. Which, yeah, I know they should have just said people who are lawfully able to carry. So if you're carrying without a permit, you still have to keep it on or about your body. So just kind of look at that one. If you guys need explanations, leave it in the comments. I'll explain some more. Just comment on it. All right, so we have HB 1387. I got a bunch of these. I got to start marking them off so I don't forget. Allows certain foster homes to store their firearms and ammo together in a locked location rather than separately. So the existing law, now obviously if you have one of those, I call them foster home or kid mills. I actually used to live in one of those for a couple of years where they have like 10 kids and they use that as a financial thing to make money. But if you're just a good person, you want to take in a foster kid and you got like one, maybe two, the law or the state law actually restricted you from having a firearm where you had the ammunition and the firearm in the same safe. Now, obviously, you got the Child Protection Act where you can't just have guns laying around and stuff. So they said you had to have your guns, your ammo separately. So basically how California had it set up. Well, they realized that that's stupid. If you need to use your gun for protection, not like, oh, let me undo this safe and then let me undo that safe and let me put them together. So now you can do that for your home and also your vehicle because your vehicle is an extension of your home. You can keep your gun and your ammo together, loaded in one place if you're a foster parent. So good job, Texas, for looking out for foster parents. That law was stupid. All right. Now this one is what I've been talking about with my guy Brent too. So before, first responders could carry a firearm on them, but there was restrictions. Basically, the department had to let them know if they wanted them to be able to carry or not to, and there are certain restrictions where they could. HB 1069 allows first responders to carry a firearm while on duty, and this includes firefighters, EMTs, or any public safety employee that responds rapidly. So basically, it just leaves the door open for pretty much anyone who's in the responds to an emergency. And this both full-time or full, part-time, and volunteer, because in the verbiage of the law, it actually got rid of volunteer and just puts all first responders. So that way there's no complication between the two like the prior law had. And if they complete, there's a course that's written out. Basically, it's a firearms training course similar to ones that police have, where if the individual elects to take this course, that it's like tactical shooting and firearms training. It's a 32-hour course, and if they elect to take that, now they got to pay out of their pocket for it. But if they do take it, whatever agency they work for cannot deny them their right to be able to carry concealed or open, depending upon the situation, while they're working their job. So right now, you can carry if they say, hey, they're kind of cool, like whatever this department, we realize it's bad neighborhood, whatever, they're letting us carry. I have a license to carry, because you have to have a license to carry to be able to do so as a first responder. But let's say you got a department that's being real dickheads. You got to take this course. You pay your whatever $400 or $500. They didn't say what it was for the price of the course. When you're done, your boss can't tell you, sorry, I don't want you to carry. Well, I took the course, so now you can't do anything about it. So go screw yourself, Bob. I'm going to do it. Not only that, but they have to provide a locker for you to keep your firearm both in the vehicle and also at the station, for in case there's any places that you can't go to, like a federal building or Army medical hospital or something of that nature, so you don't accidentally break a law. So that's another good one that came up with. Okay, don't worry, that's only page 1. We got more to go. I know there's a whole bunch of pro-gun bills people don't realize. Some of these are pretty good, so please follow along. Okay, HB 2112 removes the requirement for open-carried handguns to be carried in a belt or shoulder holster and only be carried in a holster. So a lot of people ask me the question, especially when open carry passed, hey man, can I carry this in a drop leg holster? Or can I carry this in like a boot holster? And when it's concealed, there's no requirement for a holster. The being in a holster is only a requirement for when you're open carrying. But before, it had to be in a holster that's on your belt or on a shoulder holster. And depending upon how the law enforcement officer looks at it, for a drop leg holster, it's connected to your belt. It could be iffy. Or if you're wearing, shorts with a clip-on holster and like a Glock 42, it's lightweight. Now, don't got to worry about any of those issues as long as it's in a holster or something that resembles a holster for those AR pistol guys. I see them at the Capitol. I know you guys. It's perfectly legal in the state of Texas. You don't got to worry about any of those questions. It's a holster. You're good to go. Simple as that. All right. Now we have HB 4346. Now this one's kind of a tricky one. I had to look up some laws around this one because it was kind of vague, so I had to do some digging into it. But landowners around easements. So basically, we all know you have the government easement. So if you have power lines, if you have gas lines, whenever they build a road, the government has access to a certain footage of easement, and it varies. It could be anywhere from 6 inches to 25 feet, depending upon the utilities, the signage, the things of that nature. Well, there's also other times where you might have an easement that was purchased through the government that goes through a piece of private property connecting to another piece of property or government property or something of that nature. But the problem is because it goes through private property, there was an issue of people putting up, no firearms allowed, no alcohol allowed, and different things of that nature. So this new bill basically restricts landowners that have the land that go around these easements from restricting the transportation of firearms, and this includes firearms parts, firearms ammunition, alcohol, or any of that, as long as you're using the easement for its lawful use. So if you got a throughway easement and you're going through that easement and you're doing so lawfully, so you got to look at like power line. For the power line companies, they have easements, but unless you're an employee of the power company, you're not supposed to be on those easements. But as long as you're using an easement legally, you can transport a firearm or alcohol, and it is no longer a crime. Because before, people got hemmed up for stupid stuff because dumb laws they're slowly getting rid of here in Texas. All right, we got any questions? Gun versus COVID. COVID wins, get a vaccine. Well, it depends, because if COVID's in your body and you're trying to kill it by shooting yourself, I'm not saying killing yourself or self-harming, none of that stuff. Technically, I'd say the gun's winning that battle. Anyways, so we have HB 29 allows state-owned public buildings to provide firearm storage lockers to employees and public. So yes, so another issue is, like, let's say you work for the city hall, or you work for whatever government building, or let's say you work for the roads department for a town, and a lot of the guys carry, and they don't necessarily want to leave their guns in their vehicle during the day because whatever, it's a bad neighborhood, or they don't have fences around the parking lot area. So the city can now put gun storage lockers inside the municipal building. This works for county, state, any state government building whatsoever. So you can store your firearm as either an employee or as a citizen inside of those gun lockers, so you can go in and out of the building. So that's a good one. I mean, it's not necessarily, they're not forced to do it, but having the ability to do so legally without getting in trouble, that is a good one in my book. All right, next one, we got HB 1920, clarifies secured areas. Okay, I know a lot of people, especially First Amendment auditor guys, are always trying to figure out, because there's issues of what's a secured area, or what's this area, or what's that area. When you talk about police stations, airports, always trying to figure out where you can and can't go. So I guess here in Texas, a couple of the different airports were trying to claim basically the whole airport is a secured area, or even the parking garage is a secure area, and they're trying to do some dumb stuff. So the state of Texas went, okay, if you guys are going to be stupid, I'll just have to make a law about it. So they clarified a secure area of an airport only includes the controlled area of a terminal building controlled by inspection of people and property. So once you hit the inspection area, you got to go through and turn your head and cough and bend over and, touch your toes, cough 2 times, and have all your stuff ripped out, looked apart, put back together in a box, and then go through an x-ray and an anal cavity. Once you hit that, it is a secured area. But everything prior to that is not a secured area, and you can legally carry in that. And it goes further to say that it also includes, there's one other area that is considered a secure area. That includes the parking area for aircraft that is controlled with a controlled access area. So if you have like a gate that opens and closes, fences around it, something that says, this is a secured area, that is controlled by federal law. So if you have a small airport that's not federally controlled, you can go into that area with a gun. That's fine. You just can't have like a regional airport that has, FFA regulations. Obviously, federal control can't do that. But areas like the baggage claim area, the parking lot, the pickup locations, or any other public area inside or around a airport is not a secured area, and you can carry a firearm. So there it is, people. If you wanted to know, the state made it very easy, and you know exactly where you can still carry without having to worry about, the guys in the blue shirts with the rubber gloves trying to touch you in the no-no spots. All right, HB 2675 creates a, exception for LTC applications for people at risk. Any person at risk with a protection order can show increased risk and can apply. So this one goes with the next bill, because a lot of people are thinking, okay, well, so if you have a protection order, either an emergency protection order or a family protection order that shows you are at increased risk for violence, you can send that in with your LTC application, and you can use that to get an expedited license. Now, you still have to meet all the qualifications to get an LTC, but you just get it quicker. And people are going, oh, well, we have constitutional carry now. You don't really have to worry about that because you can just carry, which I would say too, but this goes with the next bill that makes this all completely possible. So this is the one that a lot of people talk about, hey, I'm not old enough to carry yet. So this is one of those bills that kind of taps onto that. Let's see what we got going on here. Let me catch up on some of you guys real quick. It's pre-1860 BP carry legal for a felon. Tony, that one's a hard one. If you're talking about black powder revolvers, It's not considered a firearm, but it is still considered to be a dangerous weapon. So it depends on how big of a dick your parole officer wants to be. Go to David Warden's channel, News Now Houston. He does like a whole video on stuff like that. He knows that law inside and out, and check him out. He can really help you out with that question. Cross fingers on 9/14, an election with Elder in California. Hell yeah. Newsom needs to go by it. I'd love seeing Elder in charge. If I'm a veteran, I want to verify that the Tabc signs are no longer valid. Must post 30-5 signs, 30-6, 30-7. Foulmouth veteran, I'm going to get to that at the end of this. We're going to have some free talk. Forgotten Patriot, what would be great is the things that a double Larry would have the power to make more American. Yeah, I would like a wall of California, but I also got some friends from California that are really cool. So it's kind of like, Anyways, let me get back to this bill because we're talking about the ability to get a license to carry quicker if you can show that you're in a situation where you're in a greater probability of being harmed. So HB 918, this is where the secret sauce of that last bill comes into effect. Any person who is 18 years of age with an emergency protective order from the courts or an emergency order from the family courts may apply for a license to carry if they meet all the requirements except for age, and they can keep an LTC till they turn the age of 21 where they can renew for a standard license to carry. So let's say you have a guy who might be getting threatened by a whole bunch of crazy people and he puts a protective order. He can submit a license to carry application at the age of 18 plus with that protective order, and then as long as he meets all the criteria shy of the age requirement, get a license to carry and get it expedited to him. Same thing with a female. If she has some crazy ex-boyfriend or stalker, some of that nature, at the age of 18, she can get a license to carry and she can go through the process and have an expedited license sent to her quicker. So that's cool because the only way you could get a license before the age of 21 before is if you were in the military. And a lot of people don't realize that you can if you're in the military. And the state of Texas recognizes military as not just active duty, but also reserve and National Guard. So you can be with the, Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, weekend warrior, as long as you're actively enlisted or, if you're an officer, you can apply to get a license to carry in Texas at the age of 18 if you're active duty is what they call it. Just basically means you're enlisted at some point. So that's a cool one for people who need to get a license, but can't necessarily do it because of age, but they have emergency problems. Okay, now we're into the Senate bills. Yay, we have cleared the House. Senate Bill 741 allows school marshals to conceal carry a firearm on their person or keep it in a lock container. Now, before we passed the school marshal bill, I believe it was last session or the session before. Excuse me, my memory is horrible. But basically, if you're a teacher, gym teacher, whoever, someone who's not a security officer at the school can take the marshal program where they learn to shoot a firearm, do this and do that. But the law said you have to keep it in a locked container somewhere within arm's reach. And if you go somewhere, you got to take the gun out, and real pain in the butt. This one removes that restriction and allows the marshal to now conceal carry on their person, or if they want to, keep it in that lock safe in their desk or the office or, behind the basketballs in the gym teacher's office, wherever it is. So it gives them more flexibility to be able to carry and not have to worry about having to go and get their gun if there is whatever an issue at school. So that's also a good one, making corrections. Now, this is another one. I don't know if anyone stayed at hotels before or they remember that issue of that guy in, I want to say it was San Antonio, who had a couple firearms in his room, and they used that as a pretextual excuse to be able to kick his door and beat the crap out of the guy and charge him with multiple felonies about a year or 2 years ago. But some hotels are not gun friendly here in Texas. They decide that they want to say, oh, well, you can't have guns here. We don't want guns. Guns are bad, especially in the bigger cities. San Antonio is one of the big ones. So Texas said, well, no, because underneath property laws, if they rent a room from you, even if it's a hotel, motel, that is their temporary lease, and they have a right as a leasee to be able to carry a firearm to that room. Now, this only includes any hotel that has 10 or more rooms. So if you're going to some little bed and breakfast where it's some lady's house and you're just renting the room upstairs to the left next to the linen closet, this doesn't cover that. But as long as they have 10 or more rooms, hotels cannot restrict the storage of firearms or ammunition in a vehicle or in hotel property or in a hotel room. They also may not restrict the concealed or open carry with or without a license to carry, as long as the person is directly going to and from the room or to and from their vehicle. They may only restrict the open carry in common areas. So now, once you're going to your room, if you want to open carry straight to your room or right to your room to your car or from your car off property, as long as you're going directly to and fro, you can conceal or open carry. You can move with your firearms as much as you want to, and they can't restrict you in any hotel. And the only thing they can do is restrict you from open carrying or having a firearm other than a pistol openly inside the common area. So if you go down to Holiday Inn Express and you want to get some OJ, a couple flapjacks, and pieces of bacon, you can still carry, you just can't open carry. So that cool law makes it even across the board. Don't got to worry about any dumb stuff when you're going to a hotel anywhere. Real quick, Dale, do you think the online CCW is a good idea? Dale, I think the CCW or the license to carry classes are pretty much a joke as they are. I mean, you still have to go to the range and shoot and get that signed off anyways. They're pretty much just telling you what the laws are. Now, if you're someone who doesn't want to get a license to carry and they just want to know what the laws are in the state of Texas because they don't know, if you want to take the class so that way you know the laws better, absolutely, that's a great idea. You know, always having more education, more training, and making yourself a better shooter is always the best idea. In fact, I need to get to the range soon. It's been a little while myself. My finger triggers are starting to get a little weak. So, yes, it's a good idea, but if you want to use that a way to get an LTC, I recommend at least go out and find yourself someone who will do some intermediate pistol training. I can recommend a few places, depending upon where you live. I don't know, but the class is basically just making sure you can't shoot yourself in the dick and you can put enough rounds on target at extremely close range. Get more, learn to shoot from the holster, learn to go out there and do things properly. Okay, so we did hotels. Now let's look at SB 19. Prohibits government entities from contracting with businesses that discriminate against firearm industry. This is one I actually saw live when it passed. This is a good one. So let's say you have some big bank, Visa, Bank of America. I'm just throwing names out there. And they say, you know what, we're not going to work with firearms companies anymore. We're not going to process the purchase of firearms. We're just going to say, screw you guys. You know, we're not going to do it. We don't want people to buy guns through our company or through our credit cards. So if that happens, now the state will find these companies and they'll say, okay, well, we're not going to let you process anything through any of our government agencies. Nowhere in the state will we use your bank, your credit card service, or anything. And they basically put them on a blacklist saying, sounds kind of racy when that way. Anyways, on a no-no list saying that we will not use your services, your company, or anything affiliated to you because you are restricting firearm-related companies. So that's a good one. That's a good way to give you the finger to anti-gun companies. All right, so getting down more, we got SB 162 makes it a state felony to falsify a 4473 form. Okay, so that is, people don't know, that is when you're doing a background check for when you're buying a new firearm. You have to fill out that little front and back section. You have to sign it, do all that fun stuff. Now, it's already a federal crime to do that. But remember, we just created a new law here in Texas that any gun law that is stricter than that of a state law, we can't enforce. So because of that, we had to create this law because technically law enforcement officers on the state level can't report this federal crime that has to do with firearms because we don't have a state law for it. So now if someone actually goes and falsifies this federal document, the 4473, when trying to apply for a background, we can charge them with a state felony here in the state of Texas, which is actually good because if you do a federal felony, those things are a mess to clean up. You get a state felony, a lot of times you get a deferred adjudication. You can get away with a much shorter prison time. A lot of times you can even away with just probation. And when you're done, as long as you complete your sentence, you can usually get it expunged. So that's a really good thing. So, I mean, felonies aren't good, but when you can get it removed, get your rights back, I ain't got a problem with that. All right, next one, SB 550. Basically does the exact same thing as SB 2112, where it removes the belt and shoulder verbiage. I mean, literally has belt and shoulder holster. They just cross out belt and shoulder. But there's different laws, different sections that have belt and shoulder holster. This just fills the gap for additional portions that have belt and shoulder holster, and it just gets rid of that. So it just makes it a little bit easier. Dale, you're in Killeen, Texas. You know what? I don't have the card on me, but look up Urban Defense CHL. It was named before they redid it to license to carry. Urban Defense CHL. You can look up on Facebook. I used to work with them as a range safety officer. They do intermediate shooting classes. Good little class. They have a private range located right behind Texas A&M in South Killeen, and good prices. So if you want to look them up on Facebook, hit them up, give them a call, say the Fat Jim sent you. You'll know who I am, and he'll help you out. All right, so we only got one more gun bill, then we got a couple safety bills. So we have SB 313, removes the state sales tax. This is one that gets me a little excited, a little stiff in the nether regions. Removes state sales tax from firearms safety equipment. All right, so gun locks, safes, trigger locks, training manuals, or any item designed to ensure the safe handling or storage of firearms, you don't have to pay tax on anymore. So like I got this big beast back here. You know, you pick up bigger ones that cost anywhere $500, $600, $700, $1,000, $2,000. When you got to pay tax on it, you know, you're talking about $80, $160. You're paying a good chunk of money. So now, because these are exempt from state tax, you don't got to worry about them anymore. Go get a new set of high speed. I got the earmuffs with the electronic signal reduction that cost $130. Oh, you're saving me like $10 right there. You know, you get anything that has to do with, like I said, safety or the safe handling. So if you get a safety manual or anything of that nature, basically it's something that has safety in it that has to do with firearms. No more tax in the state of Texas. That's one that actually surprised me. I'm like, wow, that's pretty nifty right there. All right, so we got two more. These are safety ones. These aren't really pro-gun, but they have to do around guns, so they're included. So we got SB 168 is a mandatory mass shooting drills in public schools. So it's basically just like you have tornado drills when I was a kid, you know, get on your desk, bend down, kiss your butt goodbye. Or we actually had fallout shelters because my school was old, you know, because the Russian scare. They now have to do mandatory mass shooting. You know, the usual, put the little piece of paper over the door, get in the corner, don't make any noise. So that's going to be mandatory for all schools in the state of Texas. And, yeah, because they think that's that big of a deal. But hey, whatever, be better safe than sorry, I suppose. And HB 103 is the creation of an active shooter warning system, which funds will be used to create a new warning system that is used to warn the public of active shooters via TV, radio, cell phones, and other media. So they'll be doing like the whole tour. Not like they're going to have like a big speaker somewhere with a big thing going, active shooter. Like, I don't know if anyone lives around Fort Hood, but that's what they have on Fort Hood. But, you know, you get the silver message or the blue message or the Adam Eve ones on your phone. You'll be getting those saying active shooter in this area, or, you know, you'll be getting in the TV, oh, we got an active shooter here and here. So basically they're going to spend probably $30, $40 million to come up with that system. All right. So those are a whole bunch of new laws that came into effect here in Texas. I actually didn't know about half of them. Luckily, I looked them up, and some of them are pretty good. Some of them are pretty good, allowing people who need to get the ability to carry under 21 can't. people who want to get a license to carry, and let's say they need it for work, makes it easier than just constitutional carry, they can do so. So let's go ahead and take some questions. Foul-mouthed veteran, I want to verify the Tabc. Okay, I knew it pretty well, and I actually talked to a guy at a liquor store here recently. I don't drink myself, but I made some apple pie for a buddy of mine. Turned out to be horrible, and I suck at it, so I'm never going to do it again. But so like I went into Twin Liquors, and they have a 30-07 sign. And I was asking the guy who works there, he's one of the managers, and I worked at Twin Liquors over the last, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years. I've always been pro 2A guys. They just don't allow open carry because their customers get a little weird, liquor stores and guns, you can imagine. And I asked him if he was going to put up a 30-05 sign to try to get people who don't have a license to carry to restrict them from carrying. And he said, no, I don't want to restrict people without a license to carry. But I explained to him that there is no split difference between concealed carry and open carry for people without a license to carry. So he was kind of, dumbfounded because he didn't really think about that and how he's supposed to handle that situation. So I told him it's actually pretty simple because that sign, the 30-07 sign, doesn't apply to people without a license to carry. That if you see someone come in who is openly carrying, he can still give them verbal notice that he doesn't want them to open carry inside the building, and they can either cover it up or they can return it to their vehicle if they don't want to do that. So that's where you still have the verbal notice clause and all the 30-5, 30-6, 30-7. Now, when it comes to TABC, now a lot of people get the 51% law confused because they think any business that sells 51% or more of alcohol revenue, you can't carry a firearm in it. A lot of people don't understand that that's only 51% of on-site consumption. So if you go to a titty bar or liquor or a regular bar or a tavern or whatever, and they derive 51% or greater of their revenue from on-site alcohol consumption, where they actually sell booze to drink there, you cannot carry a firearm whatsoever. Now, if they're selling for off-site consumption, which would be a liquor store, a gas station, a Walmart, any place that sells bottles to go, but you can't actually drink on site, there's no restriction for that. That falls underneath the 411 law. 411 had it's a felony to possess a firearm on these premises without a license because they sell alcohol. With the new, obviously, September 1st, with no longer having to have a license to carry, that sign basically got changed to it's a felony to unlawfully carry a firearm on these premises. So if you're carrying a firearm and you're a felon, if you're carrying a firearm without a license and you don't have the legal ability to carry it, let's say you're under 21 and you don't have an LTC, you didn't go through the process, or you committed certain crimes that restrict you from being able to carry without a license, and you're caught carrying on those premises, then it will be a felony charge. So just think of the 411 sign, it's unlawful to carry without a license. Just think if it's unlawful to carry unlawfully. That's all you got to do in your mind until they change the signs. All right, Snowsake, can you go over the suppressor law? If you have not already, just arrived here a couple minutes ago and I missed most of the video. Yeah, so I didn't actually cover that one because I got like 4 videos on it. So if you want super in detail, that goes into it. But basically, the Suppressor Freedom Bill, if anyone hasn't watched my other videos, is pretty simple. It's the state no longer recognizes the NFA when it comes to the banning of suppressors or the requirement for a tax stamp. So here in Texas, we believe, just like Kansas did, that you can purchase or manufacture any suppressor that is manufactured in the state of Texas, as long as it says manufactured in Texas or in the state of Texas or some variant of that, and it has to stay within the state of Texas. Now, a lot of people are confused about the made in Texas. If you buy a suppressor that is ready to go, 100% complete, it must be manufactured in Texas already. If you are manufacturing your own, it's not technically a suppressor until it is finished, drilled out, ready to go, ready to bolt on and get fired. So if you were to buy a parts kit or individual parts that are made, hell, even overseas, I wouldn't really recommend. Usually their specs are horrible. but in another state, or I know I put out Tell Outfitters was a state-owned company that makes stuff you can pick up for things of that nature. And you were to finish it, technically you're the one manufacturing the suppressor, so it's manufactured in the state of Texas. You're just doing it yourself. Now, I also got to say, with a very large caveat, do not put that on Instagram. Do not make a video and put it on YouTube. Don't put it on Facebook. Don't put it on Rumble. Don't be stupid. The feds watch all of that stuff. The feds are probably watching right now. Bob, my federal officer, ATF guy. Hi, Bob. And Greg's probably sitting next to him eating pizza because he's a lazy ass. Those guys watching us all the time. Okay, and they're just waiting for us to screw up so they can get a federal warrant and come in and screw with us. So do not put it anywhere on the internet. If you're to get one, keep it for yourself. Don't go to the big ranges where the ATF agents like to screw off and try to catch people doing dumb stuff. Keep it for private property. And if you want to, you can wait till you get a couple of spare $100 down the line, do a Form 1, and get it federally legal later. Makes it real easy. That way you have it legal in Texas, and you can apply for your Form 1, and when it comes in a couple months later, or whenever you decide to do your tax stamp on it, you're like, okay, I got a serial number, and you can etch it in or laser it or use one of those really cheap $10 little ones you get on Amazon and you burn it in like you did in your cheap tools when you were, a kid and you don't want your brother stealing it. I was like, vape break. It's menthol. It helps my throat. So we got any other questions, or am I just boring the heck out of you guys? Let me see. I guess I'm being boring. Oh, no fun. All right, well, that and like I said, laws are pretty cool. Well, no, actually, laws suck. I think most of the laws we have in America are pretty much just ways to take away from our freedoms. But no, Texas is slowly coming around. We're getting everything back. I think we need, when it comes to the laws we passed, especially in 1927, the Constitutional Carry Bill, it's a good first start. Tell us more about Texas Outfitters. 05, it's Tell Outfitters, Tell Outfitters. I talked to the owner, Paul, and it's not a big company, but they're based out of Texas. If you go on their Facebook channel, he actually has a lot of talking about the cool stuff he does. But the reason I like these guys and the reason I'm going to be using them is I'm a big Suppressor Co. guy, which I would show, but I'm on live stream, so I can't show that stuff because if I do, they'll shut the live stream off. But I love the ASR mounts. I have ASR mounts on most of my rifles and some of my AR pistols, especially my 300 Blackout ones. So it's great to be able to just take, hey, I got my Spec War 300 or 30 caliber. I just put it on there, turn it, put my little lock on it, and bam, suppressors on it. And let's say I want to get a couple more like that. The nice part about their things you can purchase off their website is it comes with the pre-existing threading to be able to use with both Suppressor Co. and Q suppressors to be able to use their quick adapt adapters to go on to their muzzle brakes. Plus, you can pick up different design. They have different, both stainless steel and titanium. And you have the ability to get different lengths, different sizes, different end caps. And they came with little 3D printy holders, so to make sure you get your little drill hole just perfectly in the thingy that we all know what I'm talking about, but I can't actually say. And the prices are really good. They start off around $300. They are on back order right now, but you can order it on back order and it'll ship out as quick as they get them. So that's nice. And there's other companies you can go through, but that's just one that I've seen and it kind of tickles my fancy. They got titanium too, which if you're building something small, that's fine. Stainless steel is cool. I mean, I'm a big dude. Most of my stuff are really heavy anyway, so I don't mind having an extra ounce or two. Me personally, I'm still playing on my vertical mill, trying to get a good monocore going, but it takes time. It takes time to figure it all out. I think I need to get a bigger mill. Mine's a little small. I'm also working on trying to do the majority of cutting out of my lathe, but one thing at a time. Come on, you guys need to be more cool in the comments. Can't just sit here babbling the whole time. Unless you guys want me to go. You think I'm fat and ugly, you don't like me anymore. I get it. Cool. Does key mod fit on those? I'm not sure if you mean key mod fit on the suppressors. Now, okay, I'm going to say this. I've seen suppressors that have built-in rails on them, and that is the most tactical, stupid crap I've ever seen in my life. Like, who the hell? Like, I get it for a 22 where you got a fixed barrel, but then you have to find who's going to put a sight, like literally going to put an iron sight on their freaking suppressor. It's stupid. I've seen those at the gun store, and every time I look at them, I laugh inside going, some idiot actually bought this thing. Do not put a rail on your freaking suppressor, okay? It keeps heat in, it looks stupid, and anyone who puts a damn optic or pop-up sight or anything on their suppressor needs to get backhanded by Jesus himself. Dumb. Okay, I'm in Austin. I'm still part of Texas. Brent, I got a big problem with Austin. And not the people in Austin. I got friends down in Austin. A lot of great people down there. But I got a problem with y'all's DA. Because you got a literal socialist. He's part of the Austin Socialist Party down there. Because I don't know if you guys remember, there was that shootout y'all had in 6th Street. Maybe a year ago. Maybe not quite a year ago. And one of the little thug-a-lugs down there who shot at one of the bikers, I think they're both trash, if you ask me, but he shot at the biker, and we got proof of him doing it. We got eyewitness that the 17-year-old kid shot. And the DA is like, nah, we're not going to charge him. He's an African-American youth, and he's got his whole life ahead of him, and so on and so on. Well, guess what? That exact same kid is now up in Harker Heights, the next town over from where I live, and he is selling stolen firearms from a high school parking lot. So that great kid that's got his whole life ahead of him and only did one mass shooting in Austin is now selling stolen firearms. And the police department is doing jack and shut about it because, he's a minority, which is funny because they're actually, the African-American community in this area is the majority. But they're not doing anything about it. And the person selling firearms with him, here's the real kicker, was a guy who was involved in a murder that took place at that very same high school, where he was one of the people that was involved in shooting the individual. Now, they let him go without charges. They charged his accomplice, who was an adult, put him in prison, but they let him go scot-free. Just, no, you're young. We don't want to throw you in jail for the rest of your life. You'll learn from this. And now him and the other mass shooter are now selling stolen firearms on school property. Gotta love that kind of world. All right, so yeah, that happened from your little DA down there. And now obviously he's trying to hem up people who were found not guilty of shooting because some idiot LARPer wannabe socialist narco idiot pointed an AK at him and he shot his ass. But I'm going to have a whole video about that DA coming up soon. I'm just collecting information. All right, Falmouth veterans. So 411 signs restrict non-licensed carriers. Okay, so 411 did restrict non-licensed carriers because the law changed. People haven't updated the signs. The best way to look at the 411 signs when it comes to the unlicensed possession, just look at where it says unlicensed and use your brain and cross that out and put unlawful. So the unlawful possession of a firearm in an establishment that sells alcohol is a felony. So that means if you can't legally have the firearm there, it's a felony. But if you can have one legally with or without a license, perfectly fine. Don't got to worry about it. Chemo adapter from Dead Air. Oh, my bad, dude. Like I said, I'm a Suppressor Co. guy. Kiss my butt there, 5-0. It might, if it uses the same threading, go on their website. It has a whole list of stuff. I can't remember if it uses the one from Dead Air. I think it did. Like I said, just go on their website and it has a whole list of the different ones and it has the threading. You can check it out. I'm not sure. Why do y'all have bad shooting happens in Democrat cities? I mean, Forgotten Patriot, why do we have shootings in Democrat cities? Kind of explained your own one there, didn't you? I mean, that's because of the leadership they have, the laws they enact, the ordinances. There you go. All right. Yeah, no problem, Foul Mouth. Keep forgetting your name. Paul. Yeah. Don't worry about it, Paul. All right, how far are we into this? 50. I got about 10 more minutes of annoying the hell out of you guys, all 17 of you. It's my lucky number, 17. Not my biggest live stream. I think the biggest one I had was during the David Shitman. That's right, Shitman. I had like 100 and some people. I actually had a, what do they call it? Where they give you money and make a power comment or something like that. I had my first one for like $2. So great. But now I'm just trying to get my numbers back up because I didn't post for a little while because I was busy doing stuff. So now I'm trying to post again, get my YouTube cred back. I gotta break 6,000. Which is funny. I got all these small channels that just started like 6 months ago, and they're already like 100,000. I've been here since 2012. What the hell? Or not even. I think I started in 2008. Anyways, I've been around for a while and still under 6,000. Screw you guys. I'm working on it though. I got a better camera. Mic is okay. I'm getting a new audio processor. I don't know if you guys hear that little bit of static, but it was a little cheapy, made in China, Korea, somewhere. But I got up the kit, so I need to upgrade this to a better one where I can do gain function, so I can get rid of that bit of static. I do mostly in Premiere. It gets rid of some of it, but. So, any other questions other than where do babies come from? Because I don't know. I haven't figured that out. My wife just keeps popping them out on me. Oh, I appreciate the knowledge that you share. It's nice to be informed. Yeah, and that's one of the big things about my channel. Because originally it was just kind of showing off guns I had, which I want to do. I do want to do more like weapons safety stuff and showing guns off from time to time. But the big thing is, especially being one of the regional guys for Open Carry Texas, is a lot of people are just unaware of what the actual gun laws are. I can't even tell you how many times I've heard people tell me, like even when I first got to Texas back in like 2003, 2004, and people are just like, "Oh yeah, you can legally carry in your car without a permit as long as you keep your gun visible," which obviously was not the law. It's the opposite. You got to keep it concealed. And so much misinformation and people who don't know what the laws are or what you can do, what you can't do, or how to get a permit or where to go. And I'm kind of Texas based when it comes to laws. I try to do some federal stuff from time to time, but I want people to know what's going on, what the laws are, what they can and can't do, how to do stuff, what the restrictions are, because I don't want people going out and they got some barracks lawyer advice. Anyone who's in the military knows what that means. That they heard from their sister's boyfriend's uncle or something that said, "Oh yeah, well you can do this," and they think it's true. Then they go out and get arrested and get in trouble for some dumb stuff. So it's better to hear from someone who actually read the bills, who has a lot of friends who are in law, who has some experience in law, who can give you a here's what it actually says, here's what it means. And I'm not gonna lie, if I don't know what a bill means, I will find someone who does. I will get a hold of one of my friends who are in law school, who's an actual lawyer, who is in law enforcement, and isn't a complete idiot. Or I'll look into it and get a consensus until I can have an affirmative answer on what the question is. Until then, I'll tell people I'm not sure. But I want people to be informed on what's going on. But I think we're rolling up in 55 minutes. I think I've been going ahead and babbling enough. As usual, anyone who's watching this after the fact, you have any questions, comments, concerns, or you just want to call me fat, so that's what most people don't like me do, leave it in the comment section, and I will talk to you all next time.